we're one by the group in future groups. So if you'll look at, I'll pass these papers out, and this sheet I've got has selections of what we can do, possibly do. Yeah, we'll pop here a little bit and go through these sheets. The cotillion's turning out right now, so give us just a second or two and get a little quieter in here, okay? Yeah, if everyone will, go ahead and discuss these sheets amongst your table and see if you can come to a consensus that the table will agree on one of these things.
So what do you think about this?
Don't have enough information.
We got here, or any other ideas you might want to bring up at the bottom. We want to get a general consensus of what the community wants. So once we give you all about 30 minutes at the table, after 30 minutes at the table, we'll get an idea from your tables of what you'd like to see. And if there's 3 or 4, great. If there's 15, we're going to have to take slim it down to a couple. So, anyway, has everyone had a chance to look at this?
Yes, we're done.
Is everybody ready to have their table discussions? Okay, is anybody short at a table? They don't have enough. Looks like everybody can have a discussion. We're going to need 30 minutes on this discussion. We've got a table over here where 2 or 3 can be added. We've got a table here where 2 or 4 can be added. But it'd be right here, 2 or 4 could be added here. And it'd be nice to have a discussion amongst your neighbors, because that's what we're talking about here, is neighbors agreeing to what's going to happen in this building.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and have your discussions. And about 7:45, we'll start coming up with the ideas you guys came up with. Thank you.
Too many conflicts. I wouldn't do it.
110?
Take the property, have it developed with oversight by the board and the community, and redevelop it.
Slow down, she's writing down.
Redevelop the land, including this building, to a developer with oversight by the community of what the plan will be for the community, for what they want to do. It could be mixed housing, it could be a new restaurant, it could be a new pool. I mean, that could all be part of the deal. And then we'll also have it maybe mixed housing where you have a combination of, we already have mixed housing. We already have mixed housing, people. You know that, right? We already have mixed housing. You don't like my townhouse? Oh, okay. Anyway, you have townhouses and you have single family homes.
Next.
What?
Nothing's personal here. Everybody has an idea, and we're not being judgmental toward your idea.
That's fine, I don't care, but they don't know where they live.
Yeah, please stand up and tell us who you are and where you live. That's not helpful.
5420 Ranger Drive, over right around the corner. And if we don't really develop this property, we can't get above water on it. We can't. We have to pay the loan off, pay the debt off, and move along. That's the only thing we can do right now. And if you don't believe that, how many hamburgers are going to sell to pay off $3 million?
How long would it take for housing to pay off the debt that you have?
Wait. We're good. Are you finished, Steve?
I am finished, Steve.
Okay. Okay, your name and your address, please.
I'm Heather Baker.
Please stand.
I'm Heather Baker. I live at 409 Yacht Club. And I just think that if we were to sell this and let it become whatever, whether it's more housing or anything, I don't know about you guys, but I have little kids, and I moved here for a reason.
Exactly.
And I want my kids to have this community with these amenities. If you are interested in this becoming just more housing, then there's so many not so fun neighborhoods you can live in, and I just don't think that's what we want this to be. So I really hope tonight, whenever you're looking through all the choices, that you kind of look at it through the lens of which options mean selling and which options mean leasing. And if you know you don't want to sell, go ahead and cross those off, and let's talk about the best leasing option. But I really hope you guys don't want to sell this.
Thank you very much. Everyone's ideas. And anyway, any others? That's two. Hang on. Nancy. This is Nancy Jennison. I know her name. Tell us where you live.
I live at 5716 Southern Cross Drive. And
She is standing up.
thank you, Cindy. You're my last former best friend. Anyway, I've been here since 1990. So we've been here 33 years, and this is a wonderful amenity to the community. And I'm agreeing with what your name Heather said before. Plus, if we're going to if people decided to sell it, we have to have 2/3 majority. And I can't imagine that we could do that. So I think that really should be off the table, because you'd have to have almost everybody voting, and there would be a whole bunch of people against it, and I don't see how it would even go through. So as far as these options right here that we talked about, our table, we felt that, perhaps the best one would be lease the building, number 4, to one tenant, and then have it at market value. Tell me your name. Shaila's an attorney, and she said, this is, and we all agree, isn't this the best venue on the lake? Yes. So, we agree. So we should be able to get market value, and, we'd have to look at it, we'd have to have an attorney go over it and make sure that everything was in order, and, it may be a lease of 5 to 10 years or so we'd have to see. These people have to make money on it too. And I know, and I was membership director here like a million years ago, and I remember a lot of the revenue came from outside events, weddings, corporate parties, and things like this. So the person that leased it would probably want to make the most money that they can and rent that out too. So we'd have to work out all of that. And some suggestions would be to, I don't know, we'd have to go with whatever the tenant that we choose, to have a designated area for residents, so we know that we would always have a place to come and get a hamburger, get a beer, and I don't know, did I forget anything? And of course the pool is really important, all the families, all the kids, have a snack bar out there. It can be a wonderful amenity, and so let's support and let's vote and let's stay involved. So thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Who else we have here? Okay, there's Chip Emery. Address, please.
323 Harbor Lane Drive. I wanted to just give a little historical background here for some of the folks that haven't lived here as long as some of us have. So in no less than 3 occasions since early 2000s, there's been attempts to have this 8 3/4 beautiful acres rezoned for in some mid-density to high-density condominiums or townhomes. And the city has been consistent, at least our city leaders up until then, then, and I suspect now, are not in favor of high-density housing. For any of you that have spent time down at City Hall recently on some of the apartment projects in town or attempts for apartments and other medium-density properties, it's not necessarily well received. This would require a zoning change, and the phase 4 of Spyglass is a good example. There were attempts to redo that for 76 townhomes on more than one occasion. It wasn't done. I'm just saying is that it's not likely to happen, and so we as a group or as a community need to move off of that. I like Nancy's ideas. This is a great property. It needs to be an amenity to the community. How can we make money on it? But one of them is not selling it to a developer and not developing it, because the best use for this property redeveloped is going to be medium or high density condos or townhomes. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else?
Rick.
Oh,
The last meeting I was at. Yes, you do.
can't hear you. Name and address, please. That's a good way to
The
start.
last meeting that I was at.
Name and address, please. That's a nice way to start.
Stand up. I won't be any taller. Harriet Lane, 209 Freedom Court.
Thank you.
Chip, at the last meeting that I attended, which is a long time ago, you were talking to one of the providers, telephone providers, about putting a tower in here that would bring quite a bit of money into Chandlers. Is that still ongoing?
That's a question for Greg DeMars, but I think I can safely say it's not going to bring quite a bit of money into Chandler.
Well, you should bring some.
Yeah,
That's
it's
more
not-
than,
We need to move off of that. It's not going to be a bunch of money.
okay.
And if we can, we appreciate the questions, but if we can stay focused right now on this building, it'd be very advantageous for your board. I'm going back here to this guy first. I saw him first. Name and address, please. You don't have to stand, John.
My name is John Dudak, 432 Columbia Drive. Just to help her with the answer about a cell tower. My wife was in the cell tower business for 10 years. And if they put a cell tower in here, you probably make $2,000 a month. And they have a 5-year escalation that's guaranteed, and they guarantee it for 25 years. And we all know driving around here, we don't have any, our phones don't work. I don't care if you have AT&T, if you have, and we have Verizon, none of them. My thoughts on this property, and I've bought my lots here in 2000 up in Columbia. I bought 6 of them. And this was a private club at that time. And I couldn't even come have lunch here. It didn't do anything to me. But like the young lady said over there, I moved here and bought the lots knowing that I'd end up living here because my wife's from Dallas. And my son had a great time living in this neighborhood. He played every day. When he was in the 2nd grade, he'd get up, took a backpack, went down to the tennis club, learned how to play tennis. Then he went to the swimming pool and he learned to had some swimming. And they still had sailing at that time. He learned to sail. And then there's the basketball court. Now they have lights on it. It's a safe environment for our children. I know Nancy pretty well, and she knows my son. And it was a wonderful place for him to grow up. I would never change that. My thoughts, that's as a neighborhood. My next thought is for this building, I think we really need to try to get one vendor in here to turn this thing back into a decent restaurant. It doesn't have to be high-end. It doesn't have to be crazy. It just has to have a decent meal. Most of the people come down here. I mean, I've gotten older, been here, and you want to come down here after work and have a beer and a hamburger, or maybe a pizza, or even have a decent, there's a lot of barbecue around here. I've only smoked since I've been here. And just have a decent meal that kids can come here. When we came here, my son could come down here for $5, and he'd get a hamburger and fries, a hot dog and something. And the kids in the neighborhood, this place was packed. And at that time you couldn't have a tag. I always wanted to have a tag. So I always just left my credit card down there, which had a lot of faith in people running this place. And I think the second thing to do is take the lower end, and we have 700, I think there's 700 homes in this neighborhood.
940.
900 is kind of, if you think about that, if you have a decent operator, and then you take downstairs and put a little game room in for when the parents come home on Friday and their kids can go down and play ping pong or play shuffleboard or play a game area for your child and go somewhere while you're up here just relaxing and having a drink. I mean, you gotta do something for these kids.
Thank you, John. Next, please. Who else? Name and address, please.
124 Puritan, Putiska. I hope everybody read the questions, and I think the best one is the number 2 with the B. This place, it's been here for many years. It's always been working. Okay, it's been a lot of changes, but nobody stays forever. So let's give it a shot to lease it, have a place for the resident, and that's it. Isn't that a good idea?
Thank you very much.
Can you clarify the difference between two? And I'll have a question.
We're going to go to the statements first, and then we'll go to the questions.
I have a statement.
You have.
Oh,
She has a statement.
We can't hear you, so sorry.
either
How
one.
many restaurants have been here?
Clarification on 2 and 4.
What, 2?
Clarification between 2 and 4.
Well, at the end of the day, we want you to give us your clarification, because these are ideas. These are ideas that have been given, and everything's generic at this point. So, yeah, go ahead.
I'm Misty Carlisle, 5433 Ranger. So I think as I interpret the difference, maybe it's 2, and this is maybe not a question, but a statement. So I can't ask questions yet. But 2, it reads to me to be that we would totally lease this property 100% over to a third-party vendor, and they would take full responsibility. Where 4 seems like more of a cooperative type of an agreement, potentially, or infers more of a cooperative type of an agreement, where there would be like some sort of collaboration with whomever is the leasee to make allotments for community collaboration. I'm not a legal expert, policy person, but that's how I'm interpreting those differences, so I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one back here.
I have one too.
Cindy Malik, 5910 Scepter Drive. I agree with a lot of what a lot of people said. I think our consensus was that we do want an arrangement where the club pays for itself if possible, whether that be a lease arrangement with one party. I think that's probably the preferable thing. We also want a designated area for residents so that we always have a place to go. And I also think that residents, when it comes to events, residents should have priority or at least be considered with whoever you have to rent, so that we're able to have events here and we don't have to pay the same room fees that other people would have to pay, for instance. And also that whoever would be running the club would be aware of and supportive of our community events and the fact that this is a gathering place for our community. I think one of the stumbling blocks has always been, how do we get more people that live in this neighborhood to come to the club and to spend money here? And I would like us to explore some ideas, such as, a portion of our dues going to support some of the monthly operating expenses, or if you paid a minimum every month, and then that went towards credit towards food or beverage here, and that way, because if you had that, you'd have $50 credit, but you're probably going to spend a lot more than $50. So that there would be, some amount of normal income, and would also encourage people coming here more often and spending money.
Yeah, we already had that one.
Back when it was a private club, we did have a food and beverage minimum. That was $90 every 3 months, excluding alcohol. Right. So it was $30
Okay, we'll come
a
back to
month.
you in a minute. I'm trying to get everybody.
I know, I'm just commenting on the.
Gotcha. We'll come right back to you.
Debbie Ransom, 5304 Yacht Club Drive. I work for the Dallas Bridal Show, and Kemper was always coming there June, July. They would get 25 to 30 leads each time, and that brought in a lot of money, I believe, for the club. So I think that needs to continue. I don't know how that would work or anything, but I mean, this is a beautiful setting for weddings. And I think it makes money.
Did we know?
Right?
Nancy?
No, I just wanted to comment on Cindy's.
Nancy's got a comment to add on, and I think it's pretty valuable because she spent about 30 years here, so that'll help.
I think y'all heard me, but back when it was a private club, we did have a food and beverage minimum. That was $90 every 3 months. So it was $30 a month, excluding alcohol. So people came, they knew that they would, as Cindy said, they would use it or lose it. So, if that might be considered an option, I'm not sure. But.
Thank you. Okay.
That would depend on who would lease it. The restaurant.
They would want it like that.
Mayor Chapman, 115 Mayflower Court. In looking at this, and some of these I do agree with some of the other individuals, it does read a little confusing. So looking at option 4, I think the best use of this place is an amenity for this neighborhood. This neighborhood is so different than so many. The friends, the community you have here, it's our own village. And this place is part of what makes that. That's how we come together. So in my opinion, I think it should be multi-use. This building is huge. And so there's multi-uses that would go in here. A wedding venue, and you could have someone who rents out the ballroom for a wedding venue, whatever that may be. A restaurant, this area restaurant. An area just for residents only, downstairs. Possibly putting in a gym, that'd be awesome. That's another amenity we could have. But this is large, and we can have multiple tenants and utilize all of this. But I think we need to quit thinking of it. All the money that goes into this place is a loss. Because there's a certain amount that we budget in or should budget in to the cost of our amenity. Now, if we go over that budget, then yes, we're losing. But the ponds, we put so much towards that and other features that we have. And so we need to understand what can we do that can help us offset the cost of our amenity, but not be in a position where we're losing so much we can't afford our amenity. There's two different understandings, and every dollar that goes into here is a loss.
Right.
And I will back. And just to add about getting people in here, I've said this before too, if you give people being part of this yacht club, getting something more than what the outside person gets, because we are paying the dues for it, having a certain amount you get each year or each month. I've said that before too. You get some type of coupon with your dues, and again, use it or lose it. Gets people in here. It makes, and nobody ever spends whatever your coupon is. I never have.
So I come in here and it's $100 every time. So I do think that's a good way to get people in here, and you're showing people a value for what they are getting. It's a lot about how we spin this message.
Next. Here we go.
Kathy Pogge at 110 Flipper. Nancy, you had mentioned at one time when it was a private club, they had a minimum drink and food each month. But now that it's not a private club, I mean, it's for the whole neighborhood. I think there's one side that wants it to be like a private club and wants it for the neighborhood. Right. But I mean, that's a good question to ask residents. Do you want this to be a private club? Where you're...
You mean like the country club setting?
Yeah. Because that, I mean, I get the minimum drink, but I mean, our dues are going up 10% every month. So, you know, at some point, I mean, every year, excuse me, at some point, I don't know, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I like the idea of a coupon if we're going to go up 10%, every year. We should get a little something out of it. But consensus at this table, I think everybody's eyeballing the lease, right? Looking at two.
Leasing
it, yeah. But I mean, our debt obligation as far as what we have to pay the bank.
It's currently about $30,000 a month.
Okay. All right. And I don't know what you guys are entertaining from, people coming in as far as you have a potential.
Can you let us know that?
Yeah, we'd like to know about that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on and get all these out of the way. One more, he hasn't spoken yet. I want to get everyone that hasn't spoken yet. Go ahead.
Yes, Mark Sturts, 5104 Yacht Club Drive. I just have a general question, maybe someone can answer. I have a hard time envisioning any operator who does their due diligence and going back through the history of this place when it was operated by a private company. And being in a gated community and so many restaurant choices in the city of Rockwall, what operator who did their due diligence would even risk it? I don't understand how we can lease it. I mean, I understand if there's like some sort of combination of events company and restaurant company, but I just have a hard time envisioning what kind of operator who would do their due diligence would take a risk on this.
Well, I guess this is the beginning meeting we'll have, of future meetings.
No, but I mean, it sounds like the board has been exploring ideas. Have you come across anyone who has examined this from a profit and loss perspective that would be interested?
Well, we went through the first 7 or 8 months to get to the end of Kemper's era here. And we've been 3-4 weeks now. And I've specifically been working to get the building in the dry. We've had water coming in the groundwater, 12-foot wall over here. We got that fixed. We got the water almost fixed, but from my understanding, we've always had a drip leak at the stairwell. So I'm working on that. Everybody else, we worked on the Kemper agreement. We've worked on accounting. We've worked on, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm not going to hog the mic. I'd be happy in a minute. I'm going to let these guys share. But we've been very busy.
We'd love to hear.
No, that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking, you're a businessman.
Yes, sir.
You look at the fact that this is in a gated community, that there are so many restaurant choices in the city of Rockwall. What operator who looked at the background of this operation and saw, 3-4 companies that failed trying to operate this as a restaurant?
You want the answer to that?
Yeah. Yes.
I would think, looking back at the operators we've had, none of them have had restaurant experience.
Right.
We've never had anyone with restaurant experience. So if we can get someone with restaurant experience, it's something we'll definitely explore. That's the reason for this meeting, to get everyone under one agreement, so that we're not split. And
is there somebody interested? Is there someone interested now?
We've got a couple interested.
That's what we're.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Yeah, what?
I mean, everything is so kind of.
We're not prepared at this moment because, we're in a negotiation phase and you don't want to spill your cards when you're negotiating.
But you can loosely give us an
Well, you
idea of
just
what's
said I'm
going
a
on.
businessman, which I am. And with that, I don't let out my negotiations ahead of.
No, but I mean, if you don't have to mention names, but just say what's going on. I mean, I feel like we're in the dark. And then there's a post last night from Greg, and what exactly did that mean? Are you looking at selling it? Are you looking at leasing it? I mean, it's so.
I think we're exploring all avenues. We're exploring all avenues. We've got you guys in here tonight to tell us how you feel about it, and we're taking your temperature. We've got our own temperature in the boardroom, and we're taking your temperature to see where your temperature is. Where does it fall?
Where do you think it falls?
And that's why we're here tonight. When we hear a lot of applause, that's a pretty good deal. Just think about it. And right now we've got probably 100 people in here. I'm guessing. I don't know.
What are you talking like about?
Well, please give us a couple of weeks. Like I said, we just got this place the beginning of this month, and we've had almost 1 month, and we'll see what else we do. Let me go ahead and move to the next one. So.
I was going to ask Mark a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mark, what about the Town Square Post do you have questions about?
What exactly did it mean? What were you talking about? Are you looking at selling? That's the way it read.
Really?
Yeah. That's the way it read. I've talked to.
That's how it read. No, okay.
That's how it read.
Okay.
And I felt like you're keeping us in the dark, and you're going to spring it on us when.
I thought you read it as he's going to look at developing it. That's the way I thought.
Right, and that doesn't mean selling it. That
What
does
is
not mean
developing?
selling
Is
it.
it being tearing down buildings, tearing out the pool?
Do you know what a land lease is?
No.
Okay.
Well, land lease is where you lease the land and you hire an operator to do what they want.
It's what we will do with the cell tower. If you put a cell tower in, there'll be a land lease for the dirt underneath the cell tower. We'll still own the dirt. So it's a lease to the company that's using it, basically.
Right, but do we get to use it too, or do we have to pay?
Well, you can't unlock the gate and go into the cell tower.
No, I'm talking about.
Yes, no, yes.
They can lease it to a business.
Yes, I was trying to make a joke on it.
And we're out.
Yes, and in fact, it would be, the details are not determined at all, but the kind of general idea of the developer part would be to develop some of this land for residential, right, and get money off of that. In a lot of different, there's a lot of different ways to place that. I hear you. But you don't even know the details of what that might incur or what that might entail. So there's a thing in real estate, some of you might know, it's called the highest and best use of a real estate asset. That's what we're trying to find. We own this real estate, and there's a thing called highest and best use. So that's the idea.
The highest and best use is the people of the neighborhood.
You only lived here for 2 years.
And that's not being excluded by the highest and best use. So that's what I'm saying. Anyway, the post that I made last night. Okay. Clarify the post that I made last night. I just wanted to outline the things that we are considering. We do have a restaurant company that has expressed pretty strong interest, so that's nice. We are also working with a commercial real estate company that represents owners and tenants to negotiate restaurant entertainment leases. So
And
that's a larger.
Do they have anybody who's brought a lease in, your restaurant company?
We haven't even really started the marketing in earnest. And then we're talking to a company that is potentially talking about doing some development too. And that's as much detail as we can give you. Okay, Joey. Oh, this table over here. Go ahead. Name and
Roberta McKay, 5504 Chandlers Court. We've been living on this community for 12 years, and this is one of the reasons that we moved here was for the club. We've always enjoyed that. What I want to say is that anybody who was up for the board, we have always voted, my husband and I have always voted for people who have said we're going to stand for the club, we're going to get the club going again, and now I feel like they're fighting the board to actually carry that out. And we voted for members on the board who said that that's what they were going to do. That's how I feel tonight. It's like you're fighting a losing battle because everything that somebody says for the club, the board has something to say against the club. And if you would have put that on your manifesto, then I wouldn't have voted for you.
Hey, I'm Joey, 125 Clipper Court. I moved to this neighborhood with my wife. I'm from Chicago. When I moved here to myself, this place is phenomenal. I mean, we love Chandlers, right? It's a beautiful place. This club's been here for 50 years. Not 10, not 20, 50 years. Alright, we love coming over here. We gotta have a bar and grill, a place to hang out. Like a lot of folks said, their kids hanging out. I get up on Saturday morning, I get in my golf cart and I feel like the kids just running around the neighborhood. It's great, you know? So we just gotta keep the bar and grill going. We also have ears, people. So this thing about putting the office out with what here, what not, it's up to y'all guys to make it. If not, I'm gonna kick you out the office. As for the cell phone industry, I've been in the cell phone industry for 32 years. I know how it works. The club's not gonna lose any money, they're gonna make some money. It's how they're gonna make it, how it's gonna look, how is it gonna present to the neighborhood. A lot of you guys will get better service, a lot of you guys won't. But the main thing you gotta do when it comes to cell phone is shut your phones off every Thursday night for 4 hours. I know, it's crazy, right? Some people got their pacemakers on there, earbuds on their Bluetooth, whatever. I get it. But here's the best thing about it. When you shut your phone off for 4 hours on Thursday night, Friday morning, you have a better coverage on your phone. That's the only way your phone's gonna get better in this flood zone area they consider Chandlers. Alright? Hey, whatever. You rock it, man.
Thank you, Joe. Go ahead. Vince Walter, 608 Sundridge Court. In the sales world, you have a period of time. You stuff in the funnel. Finally comes out here. So we could wait and wait and wait for something to come out in the funnel on this side. We got a 30 grand note that we inherited. We got to figure out how to get rid of that. So what happens if we have somebody come in and says, I'm going to lease this, I'm going to pay you X, and it chops off a third, half, whatever it is. We are starting to pay that down. Then we start figuring out other things. Otherwise, if we wait till the stuff come out in the funnel, somebody that potentially could have a lease are going to say, you know something, I might put something in Fate, or I might put something in here. I don't think I'm going to mess with you guys. What happened to the opportunity? It only lasts so long in the sales world where people that are investors, that know what's going on, they're going to say, you know, if they're not interested, cool. We, before I left the board, we brought a couple people in and said, hey, you have some accounting experience. What do you think is going on with Kemper here? And they put their knowledge towards there. Has the board asked anybody to say, hey, does anybody have commercial real estate, especially in restaurant? That might be a good thing to ask, because you brought up a point to say, do you know this? A lot of people don't. Well, we have people in here that know this, and we did it in the past, so we're not breaking protocol. Bring some people in the community that have that experience and add it to the mix. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Over here, over here.
Rachel Hornquist, 113 Clipper, 320 Valiant, and 217 Freedom. To say I'm invested in this neighborhood is an understatement, and believe it. And I have made my career in luxury real estate. The people pay millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars for what we have here. what we already have. A $30,000 note a month is nothing. You say, what company would come in here after the history? I say, what company wouldn't want to come in here and have this property? You have an engaged community who wants to be a part of it. There are kids who will put their kids in a kids camp. There are tennis. You could piggyback off of tennis, pickleball, sailing. This is a marketer's dream to come in here and have an engaged community that already loves this place, that doesn't have to be private, that we can be inclusive and welcome everybody. We have such an amazing amenity. I'm telling you, I work for a community where people pay $350,000 to be a part of the club, buy real estate, and then pay $37,500 a year, and it's nowhere as good as this place. People live here full time, they're engaged, they send their kids to school here. I can't tell you, one thing that made me buy in this neighborhood is how many people's parents and kids live in this neighborhood, and the kids have brought their families back. And I want to be a part of that, and I know there is a whole host of people here who are in that same position, and we have so many opportunities. And if you let that go, you can never get it back.
That's true.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. The board's here. We'll go with the question answers and see if we can let you in on what we can let you in on. Any questions?
So whatever
You're closest.
Whatever decision is made.
Name, address, please.
Tom Pritchett, 112 Scepter Drive.
Okay, thank you.
So whatever decision is going to be made by the board, is that going to be voted on by the people prior to that decision being made? Because the buying of that facility wasn't. So is the decision that you guys made, whether you're going to sell the land or you're going to lease the property, is it going to be voted on by the people?
That's the purpose for these meetings we're having.
We're
We want to get a general consensus from you guys, but the rules and regulations. Go ahead.
Just
You
answer
guys know
no.
more about the rules and regulations than I
Just
do.
say it.
It depends on what the board recommends. For example, if we wanted to sell land, which is not even on the table, but some people think it is. So if we wanted to sell land, that would require a 2/3 vote of the members. Okay?
But not a lease land.
Right. Leasing land would not require a 2/3 vote of the
land
members.
is-
No, it doesn't.
I can read it right now.
Well, okay, and we'll get a legal opinion, and we'll make sure that we're following all the bylaws. But this isn't a place to argue the bylaws. This is, to inform you guys what
So the answer,
the direction we're going.
I'm just asking a question. So the answer to the question is no. We will not vote on what you're going to do. That's all I wanted to know.
You're correct.
Okay.
That's not necessarily the answer, no. There's not a requirement. There's not a requirement.
Okay.
The board hasn't decided how we're going to,
I just want a yes or no answer. Will you allow the people to vote? prior-
Well, and the answer is it depends. There isn't a hard yes or no. We're so early in the process right now that there's no way to make a yes or no answer to that question. At this point, this board that I'm involved with, we're a transparent board. We want you guys to know what's going on, or we wouldn't have you here. Think about that. Think about that. We wouldn't even be here. We're not required to have these meetings tonight, but we're here for transparency, to answer these questions, to get this up on the table for everyone to give us your feelings about it. We don't, no one here wants to be a dictator, so. Okay, just one at a time, please.
Are we allowed to come to the Wednesday night meetings that you guys have weekly?
What?
He wants to know if they can come to the Wednesday night work group sessions we have weekly.
No.
So that's actually not okay in the bylaws.
100% okay in the bylaws.
No, sir, you are
Right
incorrect.
for in state law and in the bylaws.
No, sir.
That a board can have an informal meeting and do business.
Has to be an executive session?
Not true. There are certain things.
You are totally incorrect.
Okay, well.
Do you want me to read it to you from the bylaws?
Yeah.
We'll have to have a different meeting for that.
I just want to know if the members of your community that voted you in are able to come to a meeting that you have almost every week since September that lasts 2 to 3 hours and know what you're actually discussing.
No, you are not allowed to come to those meetings.
Okay, that's not accurate.
Okay. Please, let's go from table to table. Then we'll work our way back.
Kathy Hovey, 1-2 Clifford. People need to remember that this board inherited a hell of a mess from the previous board. We thought it was okay to go out and buy a $4 million property without our votes, without including us in any discussions. So I'm tired of you guys jumping all over the current board. They're doing the best that they can do to figure out what the hell we're going to do in this sick, sad predicament that we're put in. All right?
Should we all count to 10? Next, please. I'm going to Nancy.
I'm just confused because I went to the last board meeting, and at the end of the board meeting, I mean, people asked, Greg, when you spoke, and I don't criticize anybody here, but you said that no decisions would be made without the consensus of the residents. Yep. So today I'm really confused because that doesn't seem to me what I'm hearing.
Right.
Bingo.
Talk to yourself.
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, but there is a difference between a consensus and a yes or no vote for everybody, for the whole community. It's a fine point, it's a finer point. But the point is that we're doing these meetings, we're about to start doing some surveys for everybody that can't come to meetings like this, so we can find out what the sentiment is in the neighborhood for these different options. We don't have any specific options right now that we can even offer, so it's kind of a moot point to talk about what are you going to let us vote on this? Well, it kind of depends on what the options are. I mean, we thought, for example, that we would get a lot of interest from event companies.
No.
Almost zero interest from event companies. But it seems to be a great event thing. So we're still kind of exploring what we're doing, and we're trying to hire professionals or engage with professionals. We're not paying them right now, but engage with professionals who do this sort of thing for a living to present options that make sense, that are, the highest and best use of the facility.
When do we get to hear about it?
Yeah, put it in the funnel.
Well, as soon as we have things that are more concrete than they are today. I mean, we've got one fairly strong interest from a single company, and everything else is kind of in the marketing and lead generation phase right now.
Can you tell
So,
us about that company?
Yeah, you say you're transparent, tell us.
it's a restaurant group that's interested in the facility. We're not going to name names, and we're very early in the process.
Do they have restaurants in
No, I think we appreciate this information that you're giving us right now. And I don't think anybody is meaning to jump on this board. It's just, I've been here since '97. So there's been a lot of things that happened that we did not get input into, and I think that's why people get a little hot about it. But this kind of stuff is what we want to hear. We want to know what's happening. If you can give us an idea along the way, when you can, without messing anything up, I think that's what we need to know, so that we feel like we have some control about what's happening in our community.
Sure, absolutely. And that is absolutely the intent of the board. That's why I made the post last night. That's why we're having this today. We want to make sure everyone gets enough information to, for them to be, fairly well informed. Again, we can't include the whole community in our negotiations with, people that we're meeting with. So, and we're early in the process, so we really can't even share any names or anything like that. But rest assured, as we move through the process, we will be updating the community regularly, and at some point we'll be presenting options to the community.
We got a question over here.
Diane Watley, 312 Columbia Drive. I just want to
clarify what number 4 says, because it's a little confusing to me. The very last sentence on that says, would be you willing to bring in, would we do the landlord responsibilities with in-house or outside real estate management people? And the way I'm reading that, we could end up with another Kemper. I think everybody in here does not want that, for sure.
Okay, the purpose for this, again, is it's generic in ideology. It's for really pick some of all of them and put one together that I'd love everybody to pick one of those, say this is what everybody agrees to. And whatever it is, I mean, and I think the whole board feels that way. If we could get somebody to put, and that's what I attempted to do, is put different line items there that we can choose from, or put our own down. And we're going to take these at the end of this, and we're going to go through them, and we're going to try to come up with a favorite 3 or something and for the next meeting. This is going to be a progressive thing so that we put the best of all ideas together.
What I was trying to say is I might be for the first part of number 4, but not that part about the management company, as being a landlord.
Okay, well, what we get into there, Diane, this is what we get into there. If we don't hire a realtor or a real estate company or somebody that puts us to having to do it. We have to have managerial people, and our board, we're working hard, and we've been doing our due diligence to do that, but that's not something these board members want to keep doing. So we either have to get competent people at the front that are able to do that, which, I don't know, do we have it now? I mean, that's the questions we have to answer. And then if we don't have it, then we have to hire an individual. So that means more payroll expense. And
You don't do it, the guy that rents it does it.
so anyway, that's if we were to do it that way. But if we rent the building out, lease it out, whatever, that negates that. You wouldn't have to deal with that. So anyway, that's why it's all down there. It's all down there. Formulate your own, merge 2 or 3 together and make one. And hey, that's a perfect idea. And add your own 2 cents into it.
I think that's all that we were concerned about, was that getting another management company where we have no control of our facility. Again, that's the only thing we didn't want to happen.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Russ Martin, 5601 Ranger. In regards to this building and the loan for it, are we good? Our budget that we exist under right now, does it cover, without fail, the note every month? Is there any immediate danger that we could default?
No.
So there's no urgency in resolving this tomorrow because
We can afford the note, we just couldn't afford to lose 50 grand a month with Kemper.
I agree with that.
We can afford the note.
And that's been taken care of. But our budget does cover the note every month, and we're in no immediate danger of this place becoming a default.
That's correct.
Okay, that's reassuring, and I'm glad to hear that.
And we're actually going to be able, according to the budget, if we're living within the budget, we're going to be able to add money to our reserves this year too.
Right.
That will be good.
That sounds good.
Next, anyone else?
May I?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So that was my question as well, Russ, is when we're looking at these options, what does that look like from the overall budget perspective? So if we're spending so much, different amenities cost a different amount, we're bringing in a certain amount per month, per year, how much of our income, per se, our dues, is going towards this amenity, others? Are we at risk? And I think that's exactly what Russ was asking. That's what I wanted to know is, are we at risk? And then if we did have something in here, what predicament are we in? To understand, we need to understand that in order to understand what's the best options for our community as a whole. We all know we want to have an amenity that everybody can come and hang out with, right? But are we in a position that we can't have that? Is that what you guys are telling us? If we're bringing in whatever it may be a year, what are we bringing in a year, and how much of that percentage is going to this amenity? What is our budget and what we can spend on this?
Okay. I think from a budgetary perspective, we've turned the corner. I mean, this thing was in dire shape. It was in, correct me if I'm wrong over here, guys. There's a spare microphone, but we were in pretty bad shape last summer. So we, you know, if you looked at it and you looked at a graph of it, this thing was hitting bottom. We were on the bottom. And now we're not on the bottom anymore. Just like they said, we're able to take money and put it in reserves now. So with that being said, we've got to be careful. We don't want to go right back to where we came from because we learned. And go ahead and add whatever you might have.
I would say two things. One is the budget right now is $30,000 a month. And that covers the note. That's the budget right now for this place. The second thing I would say is that all along this board, since we three, which were appointed last June, and the new board that came on in September, we've always said, without fail, that this will be an amenity for residents to use. There will be an exclusive place in this building for us only. That's a condition for no matter what we do. If we lease it to a restaurant company, there will be a separate space for us. Okay? And that's what we've always said. So let's not lose sight of that, because that's been a promise we made and we've never wavered from that. So we're not going to lease the whole building to somebody and then if you want to use it, you got to come pay to have a meal, right? We're not going to do that. So there will be a space here that's exclusively for residents, no matter what we do.
I would also like to add, piggybacking on all that, we've been through, insurmountable hours on these work group sessions, and they're just not Wednesday night. We've had a lot of battles. They're upright. We're trying to figure out how to get money that we don't have, and how do we get things done. And anyways, I just wanted to add that. So when we have these work group sessions, it's not we're trying to keep everyone in the dark. We're just trying to accomplish what we set out to do. And if we get 7, 6, or 5, then we get things accomplished with the group we currently have. Go ahead. Who's next?
So I want to say we appreciate everything you guys are doing. Okay, there wasn't 1,000 people signing up to do this job. Okay, and I wasn't one of them. So what you're doing is great. I do want to say you used specific words that I wanted to make sure I clearly understood. You said right now our bill is $30K. So do we have like a 30-year loan on this place and it's $30K, or do we have a balloon payment in 1 year? It's gonna all of a sudden be $100K.
The balloon payment will be due in 2030. We're interest and principal right now, and at the current rate we're going, we'll probably be around $3.5 million, I think, if we continue where we're at. But if we can get some reserves built up, and what we're attempting to do is just do the best we can.
Okay, so $30K until 2030.
And then a balloon that we either pay off or we refinance.
Okay, thank you.
And how much is the balloon?
A little over 3 would think. I'm not sure.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, it's a little over 3.
Next.
Rick.
Paul Jason.
Thank you, Rick. Paul Jason, 118 Scepter Drive. I've been here since, 83. I think Jan Self's the only one to keep me here. I'm sorry. And I know she, can you hear me? Is this working? I can hear. I know she's lived through Frady's, she's lived through Westrek, she's lived through John Cole, she's lived through the Gaskells, the Adams, and each time they close for a reason, a number of reasons. And I can spend some time with that, but I don't want to do that right now. And I'd be happy to spend some time with anybody that wants to learn more about how the food and beverage program works and how successful it is. Because I've done some research on that with Lee Trevino's son, Tony Trevino, who runs Heritage Ranch, which is right up the street. And I met with him when we bought it, 2016. Told him we were thinking about opening a restaurant. His number one message was don't try to open it without a food and beverage minimum, because it won't make it. Now this guy runs 4 or 5 restaurants inside of gated communities. So to my point and some of my opinions, and remember, opinions aren't fact. I moved here in '83. One of the amenities that I enjoyed so much was this club. I had a sailboat. I played tennis. I had golf across the street. Plus, best place in the world to live. But one of the attractions for me and my family, and my kids used to come down here and use J1, my number, and spend a lot of money, was the amenity that this place has. And it's awesome. We're paying for it, we're not getting to use it. And I think the only way we can use it is and I think your question was answered, you were looking for a number one. In my opinion, the number one is an effective restaurant with comfort food, open 6-7 days a week, doesn't have to be open for lunch, but make that available to us so that we can use this amenity and a place for us to come and gather and say hello to our neighbors and friends and things like that. The other point I want to make, and this is fact, if this is a successful facility, a successful attraction to the residents, it's going to raise and have a positive impact, and I think there's some real estate people in here that can confirm that. It'll have a positive impact on the value of our properties, and I think that's pretty important.
Good job.
Carol Inman, 5806 Constellation. Couple things. One of them was the restaurant you're talking about, which we can't name or anything, I understand that, but what type of food is it? Is it an everyday food we're going to want to eat, or is it going to be an expensive type thing that nobody's going to want to come to, that, on occasion, not mostly families that want to eat out there?
We're at the beginning of the stages of the different negotiations we'll be dealing with. So we're going to tell them everything you guys tell us. If we want whatever we want, that's what we're going to tell them.
The other thing that I saw myself last time was through Facebook, it killed this place too. Because people were posting, and on the Chandlers, which I thought was the Chandlers website, come to find out it wasn't. It was Friends of Chandlers. It was going out to the whole Rockwall community. We killed ourselves, a lot of it. Because everybody posted it was bad, it was this, it was that. So everybody's listening to that and nobody's coming. So we got to help ourselves.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay. Do we have any other comments, any other questions, any other? Okay, well, one more. Okay. Here we go.
My name is Barbara Malik, and I live at 5704 Yacht Club. I have not lived here a long time, just since '09, but I've seen a change in the demographics of this neighborhood. And we have a lot more young families coming in with small children, and I believe that's how you keep a community alive. I don't think that this neighborhood wants a high-end restaurant here that I think that we try to do. If I had small children, I would want a place and I would frequent it. If I came home from work and I had 3 little kids hungry, and I could stop here in the neighborhood and pick up hamburgers and french fries for a nominal fee and not have to pay $50 to feed my family. I just think this neighborhood is more of a family type restaurant. Most people here, if they want to go to a high-end restaurant, they go to Dallas or to the Saltgrass or wherever. But if we could just be a family place to come and enjoy.
Thank you. Just
just to let you know, and Rick was kind of reluctant to give any details, the company that has expressed interest it is not a high-end restaurant.
Great.
Okay. Give me just
Stacey Bauer, 228 Sovereign Court. I don't have really a comment about or an opinion. I think what I'm hearing over here is just how are you going to recap this to us? How are you going to provide feedback to us after this meeting? Because what we heard you say and what we really appreciate is that you're taking this feedback and that's how you're going to formulate your vote and your opinions and what you bring back to us.
I'm only, to answer your question, I'm one of the 7, so that makes me about a 14% voice. And
taking notes.
We're taking the notes. We're going to, in my idea, we're going to take 3 of these, the ones that are most favored, and I don't know, we got 28 right now. So if y'all kind of have an idea of where you're at, we're going to do this kind of like a music thing. We're going to mention each one and we're going to go by applause.
There you go.
Good.
That's not what I was asking. Thank you, Julie. What I'm asking.
Once we get the applause, we will give it to them on Town Square.
These aren't voting points, these are just some notes.
Yeah, they're on.
The board will summarize what we
We'll summarize it.
What we heard tonight.
The board will summarize, and we try to do this with every one of these roundtables. In fact, if you'll remember, if you go to board meetings, Rick has a roundtable update at every board meeting, and that is basically a summary of what has happened that month in these roundtable meetings. So we'll be summarizing this and feeding it back to you and making sure that we got the right understanding. And if there are other comments, we'll take those too.
How are you going to do that?
Well, we'll post it on Town Square. Does that work for you, posting it on Town Square? Because there's not a lot of ways for us to do it. I mean, we could do it on the Chandlers Landing Facebook page, maybe, but that's really not the place for that. I think the Town Square announcement would probably work the best.
I think that works. I can't speak for everyone, but I think that since Rick started these meetings, the predominant subject of these meetings has been the club.
Right.
And sadly, I think we talked about 840 front doors of single-family homes. I think we have a total of 1,000 something, including multi-use. You know, we've got 100 people here. And these are the same 100 people that I would see at the bar every day.
And we love seeing you, but you make a good point. This isn't everybody.
I feel confident then that 95% of these people are the people that actually supported this club and gave money to this club, even when it was on its downhill slide. We stayed here till the very damn end. And so
my wife and I came here as often as we could. We loved it. Yes, I mean it was a great place to come and have a meeting.
And there are so many opportunities for this. We are still here today with you participating. We are still trying to give you our honest opinions. And we still are interested in where you're going with this. So we want to continue to participate as long as we know that you are listening. And the only way that we'll know that is the way you communicate back to us. And then we can have continued meetings until something is decided about where you're going to go. And that's all we're asking, is communication.
Absolutely. And that's a commitment we're happy to make.
Okay, everyone, we got, I think, 3 here that we're going to just listen to your applause. See, you guys, before you applause, I'm going to throw them out there so you can think about it. We've got lease the building and the property for a potential tenant. They run it, they do everything, and we can build in the lease what we want as a neighborhood because we are their landlord.
Hey, Rick, can you just add that it's a restaurant lease, not a company? No business. We haven't specified.
I mean, when we build a lease, we can put personal guarantees in that lease. We can do all kinds of stuff to push out large
The
corporations.
questions don't say it's for a restaurant. It could be leased to a office
Department
building.
store.
A department store office building, it doesn't say.
Well,
a restaurant.
that's what the lease, we'll draw that out in the
But I
lease,
wanted
that
to
it's
put that on
restaurant.
the, put that on the.
Well, the lease could be anything. The requirement that we have, that we've gone over tonight, is that there will be a space here for residents only. So even if there's offices downstairs or whatever, we're not saying that's what's going to happen, but we're not going to, just at the front end of this, restrict it to a certain kind of business. We want to explore all possibilities, but there will always be a space in this building for residents only.
He's saying he's going to give you the 3 ideas that we think have been discussed. Then we'll ask everybody what they want to do. Before we discuss all that again, just let him say the 3 things and then we'll clap for what.
Yeah, we want everyone to get an idea. We're trying to get it drawn out right here, right now, so that, if we lease the building, it's going to be specific in the lease, and we're going to say, this is what the residents want. It won't be leased without this. So that's what we're going to spell out in the lease. That's the first one. We're going to listen to the applause, and hopefully we'll get a consensus here. Maybe not. Maybe we'll get 2 that are the same. The next one would be to develop the land, keep the club, and we do a land lease. I mean, something along that line. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Yeah, but keep the club. That's not
keep the club. Lease the land.
Give the club away at all. That's a keep the club.
And the next question on that would be, let's get it settled, because there's going to be, what happens with the tennis courts? Are the tennis courts the land, or are they part of the club? I don't know.
You can't lease the land.
You can't lease the land.
You can't lease the land because
They don't want to lease the land.
right now you got 100 tennis players out there with their car in the parking lot.
Tennis and pool are off the table.
Tennis and pool.
You wouldn't want tennis.
That's fair.
And the parking lot.
Is that
You wouldn't want tennis and the pool to be improved at all?
correct?
You don't want it to be improved? You want it to stay the same? You don't want it to be better?
It's right now.
Okay, we hear you, we respect that, and we're gonna put that out there. Does anyone in here feel the other way? Hey, lease the tennis, lease the pool, does anyone feel that way? Okay, we won't even put it out there then, that's simple. Okay, the last one.
But they are leasing.
What is it?
They're leasing the tennis courts right now.
Yeah,
But they can't lease it because the parking lot is a common area. They lease it, so you can't.
So you can have the tennis courts and the restaurant. But not the pool. They don't want the pool.
Okay. The third one is going to be, we have a restaurant that leases the building, and they facilitate events and club leasing. Is that correct?
Club activities.
Club activities. Okay. That will be number 3. And by a show of hands, who wants 3? No clapping. We want to try to count.
What's
A
3?
restaurant that leases the building, has events.
What?
Okay, number 3 is have a restaurant that leases our building, and they have events here, and they have club activities for us, and we get to come and eat.
Yep. I think we found consensus.
I think you got number 1.
Okay, let's do it another way. Raise your hand if you don't agree with that. Raise one hand if you don't agree with it. Y'all are outnumbered.
Please raise your hand if you do not agree to that first suggestion.
Could you speak louder?
If you do not believe that you want to have a restaurant, event, and club, lease the building, and have club events here. If you feel one of the other options is better.
We already decided.
And everybody else raise your hand for that option. Okay. Well, I think we have our answer.
Yeah.
Well, I guess unless someone has something they'd like to add, we're going to adjourn this and do it again in 2 weeks.
Hey, Rick, can you summarize?
Oh, wait a second. Hang on a second, Paul.
Can you summarize for everybody what was just decided at number 3?
Okay, number 3 is that we lease out the building. Tell them what.
We lease the building to a restaurant company. They will have events. So they can lease out the building for events, and then we'll still have a restaurant, we'll still have a place for all of us.
Okay, so that's board's number 1.